Clear that up. Come on in, grab a seat. We'll get started. The people will roll in as they did last week for probably the next half hour or so. Okay, so welcome back to those of you who came last week. Welcome first timers this week. My name is Kevin Curry. You're at 1 Million Cups, Virginia Beach. And it's a program for entrepreneurs in this area to communicate about what they're doing. So I call it pitch practice for startups. It's a very structured format. Each presenter gets 6 minutes to tell you all about their company, followed by 20 minutes of questions and answers. And we have two really awesome companies here this week. We have Netarus and we have Quiver. And so Netarus, you got to get it down to 140 characters for a tweet, so I call them industrial sensors, but they're a lot more than that. And then Quiver is, I would say, tagline, digital replacement for cash, right? Next week, we have ASET Technologies and 757 Makerspace. All right, a couple of administrative things. Okay, we got the coffee on time this week. Yay. There's snacks out at the front, actually, that they have a chef school here, and so they have a little snack bar out front, so some people were hungry last week. For those of you who don't know, they have a master's program here in entrepreneurship. They wanted everyone to know that. Please join the community if you haven't already, so 1millioncups.com/Virginia Beach, so you'd add yourself as a person or a company to the community. There's a lot of things that we do that kind of require you to have a profile. It's pretty low-key, low-maintenance, but like if you have a company presenting here, it will show up on our site. I mentioned that we did a swag giveaway last week, and I don't think our other winner is here. That was Mackenzie Tobin Pedell from Cause Engine. I don't see Mackenzie here. I thought I would recognize her. So, well, no, we won't. We were supposed to give it to her last time in the melee. We kind of forgot, so we won't hold that against her this time. Let me get my timer back up. 6 minutes. I'm going to hold you guys to it. Okay, and we are at 2 after. We have 8 minutes for welcome and question and answer. At this point, anybody have any questions about the program for applying? Any problems anyone's been having that you need to share at this time? Everyone's good? Everyone been to the website, been to the Facebook page, all that stuff? Okay, cool. Well, then we don't need to waste time. Well, I think we just go ahead and welcome up our first presenter from Netarus, Chris, and please let's give Chris a welcome. You're about to
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, 1 Million Cups as well. My name is Chris Mahmoud. I'm Chief Technology Officer with Netarus. We like to explain what we do as rapidly deployable situational awareness. The suite of it is we eliminate blind spots, and I'll give some quick examples here of what that actually means. For those of you that aren't familiar, this is what it looks like, or if you've never experienced, sitting in the operator's cabin with tower crane. This is actually in London. A lot of times they have to see things off in the distance that they cannot see. Or they might be even operating a vessel, and when they're operating the vessel, this is what they see, which is a wall. They don't see the load, they can't see what they're moving, what they're picking. They're relying on other people's eyes to actually do what they want to do. There's lots of different types of heavy equipment out there. Everything from tower cranes to crawler cranes on the left. This is an example of a crawler crane with a lattice boom, a telescopic boom crane. There's another tower crane. You have truck cranes, you have excavators, lots of different types of heavy equipment. That's where we bring in our product called HoistCam. This is just one angle that we provide as a company of being able to give direct line of sight to the operator as he's operating that crane, instead of seeing that wall or not being able to see that object off in the distance. Now it's really exciting. We've had lots of customers use our platform. We had one particular customer that was doing what's called a blind pick inside the hull of a ship. So he was taking his hook of the crane, going inside the ship and pulling items out of it. 1 out of every 2 vessels that came into this port resulted in a serious accident. Either damage to the hull of the ship or damage to the actual product which is rolled steel. Rolled steel, for those of you who aren't familiar, can run anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 a roll, depending on what kind of steel it was. After they used HoistCam during our short-term study, they basically increased their safety rating above 90%, which is an A in my book. And the unintended consequence of it that we had found out when we first sold the system to them is they actually improved their efficiency. They were able to reduce their unload time from 9 hours down to 4 hours the first time they used it. This resulted in nearly an instant ROI for them. So what does a HoistCam overall, the camera platform, do for customers? A number of things, everything from reducing accidents to improving productivity, to increasing safety. There's tons and tons of benefits. But the real exciting part about it is when we first sold these systems, we had the guys that actually cut the checks, saw what the operators were seeing, and for lack of a better term, they got jealous. They wanted to be able to see, management wanted to be able to see the same point of view, because the information that they could get about their operations would be very substantial. And this is where we came up with this software platform called HoistCam Director. And what you basically have here on the left-hand side is a breakdown of the equipment on the left. You have a similar looking map interface, GPS map interface that a lot of us are familiar with. And then on the right-hand side, a list of all the cameras that they can see in the field. And what's nice is this is all tied into a single interface. You can have up to 5,000 pieces of equipment in a single interface that can be monitored and managed. At the end of the day, what we're doing is we're capturing a significant amount of live and recorded video, which results in a lot of big data. And for those of you that might be familiar with the whole concept of Internet of Things, we're taking and tying more of that sensor data also from the cranes as we're starting to grow as a business and delivering that to our customers. So just some of the benefits that HoistCam Director has been able to provide so far, from loss prevention, increased business intelligence, down to increasing operational efficiency, giving management the ability to actually make better decisions about their job site, knowing what's going on, and even down to employee and vendor accountability to see actually what's going on the job site in real time. Manufactured here in Norfolk, Virginia, sold worldwide with 1-year warranty. Basically, we offer 90% of the system is on our shelf, ready to go. It's tuned for each piece of equipment that it can go on. We have comprehensive videos and documentation on HoistCam.com. What are some of our customers saying? Great comments. I will not operate a crane without a HoistCam. Easy to install. My absolute favorite. Really simple, as you can see. Some other options that we also provide in terms of DVR capabilities, different voltages. We're starting to get on to also oil rigs out in the Gulf, up in Alaska. We have dealer representation from Hawaii to the United Kingdom. Really, really exciting product line. And how am I doing on time?
You're fine.
Okay. What I want to just share with you guys is some of the cool pictures that we get from our customers around the world of how they're using the HoistCam and how they're applying it in the field. This is literally in our backyard. This was just a shot, and for those of you familiar with the Dominion Enterprises, of the library they were building downtown. With a HoistCam on the boom tip here, and that's actually one of the views from the HoistCam. This is inside an operator's cab in Texas. This is our video receiver box that actually takes all the data and aggregates it and then displays it up at the top on a little 9-inch monitor for the operator. There's a shot of it being attached to a hook block. HoistCam on this device here is called a hook block, and this is the hook. This is attached to the crane, so if you imagine, this is about to scale, about to size, about how big it is. Very, very big device. This is out in Singapore on a crane and an oil rig. They used this. A lot of their operations were pretty dangerous and hard to get around, and they didn't want anybody on the deck, so they could literally pop the HoistCam wherever they needed it and run in real time video. Another angle just to kind of get the idea of scale, sort of red arrow there. See all the equipment and everything around. This is a tower crane over in England. Give you another, this is still a hook block. Every type of crane is kind of different in terms of what they use. There's another angle view, size and scale.
And questions? Okay, great. All right, actually, yeah, lots of questions. Thanks very much for that presentation. So, start here with Maggie in the back.
Chris, do you have a patent?
Yes, we have filed 3 provisional patents this year.
And are you on the GSA schedule?
We are not. We've talked with a couple representatives. We are actually, it's been really interesting from the GSA schedule side of things. We've had the government purchase a number of systems from us, and just because of the nature of how unique it is, they've figured out how to throw it on a credit card, find some other source, and purchase them. So we don't, a lot of times we don't know what they're even using them for.
So your price point is, it also sounds like it's kind of unique too, because there's government thresholds.
Yeah, there are thresholds, and that's what's always been kind of interesting. Like we've heard things like, you know, you can't put this on a government credit card for anything over $3,000. We've had that happen way more than $3,000.
I know I have questions. So other questions from out here?
Aside from the monitoring, what other uses have you seen from your customers that you, I mean, I guess just product differentiation, what else have you seen that was unique that you didn't necessarily think of when you were developing this?
Well, the HoistCam Director software was literally driven out of our customers' needs,
Yeah.
The guys that actually paid the bills. It's opened up a huge door over the next 18 months. We have a plethora of features that we're releasing, and kind of like with any competitor, we're finding that it's a better idea to keep them kind of closed in, because we've actually had a number of competitors crop up as a result of our success in this space. So we have some really, we actually have a tower crane conference we're going to in the UK that we're announcing at the end of this month. A couple new features and capabilities of the system.
And those features were derived from the customer unit home first.
A lot of them, the customer goes, hey, I could really use this and I'll pay you to do it. Okay, great.
That's good. Awesome. Question?
How are the unions receiving these?
Unions are kind of mixed. They're very open to it, but you kind of have the good old boy way of thinking of doing things. Hey, I've been operating a crane for the last 30 years. I've never needed a camera. And then you have guys that are like, and it tends to be the younger ones that have been maybe operating a crane for 5 to 6 years, and we see the challenges that they run into on a day-to-day basis, and that tend to embrace it. And then there's guys that have also worked 30 years, and I wish I had this 30 years ago. The unions, just with anything that's new, it takes time. So we've actually gotten a lot of support from the safety guys in the unions. It's just a matter of getting them educated on how it works, what it does for them, and that it's not a spy for them. It's an aid.
It's operational.
Yeah, it's operational.
You had a slide where you said the ROI was a day.
Yes.
I was wondering, have you actually, and then another one about insurance rates. Have you actually had any concrete feedback that a company's insurance rates were affected by it? I mean, do you have a dollar number on that?
Not yet. We've had a number of insurance companies said that they would discuss it, and that they would understand it. It's actually the analogy I like to give people is like the concept of a low jack on a car. A low jack came out 20 years ago or so, and it took a long time for the insurance company even to recognize the values of it. The best thing that we have been able to get is, well, yeah, they use your system, the customer's going to make less claims, so they're going to end up saving money. That's a lot of times the insurance company's angle on it. There's been also some more push as of lately of the ability to record is very attractive to insurance companies, because a lot of times they spend more money just investigating than they do actually paying the claim. So if they had even just the recording capability, it would have, instead of $100,000, $150,000 in expenses to try to investigate an accident and whether or not the operator was at fault or the general contractor was, or whoever was at fault, they'd have a video that would ideally tell them exactly what happened.
So is there an opportunity to partner with insurance companies?
We've talked with them, just like everyone else's widget that says that they can reduce the claims and number of opportunities for accidents to occur. It's an uphill battle. It's very much it. Our focus is getting the companies, getting them safer, getting them the systems, and then if they want to negotiate with their insurance carrier, that's the other challenge, is there isn't like one insurance company that we can just say, okay, now you all get 10% off from your insurance company. Every insurance company is secured and brokered differently.
Thank you.
I got a quick question. So the thing that, the one data point that jumped out off the page of all the others in that slide deck was the safety improvement rating. So I think I heard you say 1 out of every 2 ships resulted in a bad problem. Is that right? And it went down to what? To like 10% error rate?
Well, that was their safety rating. So internally to the company was a 90% safety rating. They had 0 accidents after they used it for a month of every vessel that came into their port. And their safety rating went up and their productivity went up as well as a result.
That, I think, would just attract everybody's attention.
Yeah, it does. It does. It very much so does.
On that, do you have any like calculations for the DART rate for OSHA? Generally how they.
I am not familiar with the DART rate for OSHA.
So if you work for like NAVFAC Midnight Crane Operations Center, they look at their DART rate.
Okay.
So it says a ratio per day of man hours lost in a 2,000-hour year.
That's a really good question. That's a great
That's
suggestion.
how they grade it.
Thank you.
That's how this works.
I'd love to talk with you a little more about that. I'd love to learn more about that. Joe?
Are you in the port? And if not, what's your biggest roadblock to getting in the port?
Not every crane has blind lifts.
Okay.
So in the case of the port, and it depends on the crane, a lot of the operators' cabs, so a lot of the problems with some ports is you might have, humor me here, if this is the deck, that this is the ground that they're working from, and the vessel's over here. If the operator's down here on the deck, and then is going down into a hole, he can't see. A lot of the ports have the operator up here. And if their operator's cab is right above where the ship is, there's no blind
I
lift.
got you. Okay.
Are you looking at other applications, industries such as mining, where they can use?
Mining's an interesting one. We've been approached in mining. The problem with mining is they're even more stringent than even the offshore oil rigs from their explosion issues and problems that they encounter. We are not rated for mining. It's something we've looked into, but there's not nearly as much of a market as there is with cranes.
And so barrier to entry to that market is all of the vetting your product would have.
The vetting and the certifications and getting the living.
It's like getting a new medical device approved or something
Yes,
like
yes,
that.
very similar, yes.
Government regulations.
No, we do have what's called ignition protection rating, which basically they literally took one of our HoistCam systems, put it inside a sauna for 8 hours, filled it with propane and turned it off over 100 times, on and off over 100 times to see if it would create a spark. They also filled it up with propane and blew it up inside of it to see how it would condense or prevent a spark, and it passed all of those tests. But that's not even stringent enough for mining operations, especially when they start going to coal mines and everything else. It goes even further up with their testing.
Awesome. Offshore wind, is that a potential?
Yes, we've been actually doing the offshore Virginia, I don't know where that is, it was about a year ago or so, we were actually approached. We actually teamed up with Virginia Tech and we didn't win that bid as part of the whole group that we went together with, but there definitely is interest. Because one of their problem that they had a lot is you're actually using a crane to pick people up off of the vessel. And that operator, that is the same thing that they have the same problem on oil rigs. When the hook block goes down, the operator's basically literally driving blind.
Yeah, I mean, I was even thinking like just monitoring a new windmill that they put up or something, you know, having something they can pull off really quickly and move to the next one and then monitor it from a control center.
Yep. And there's, we've been approached on security applications as well. Fish pens in Long Island Sound to basically wherever an operator needs his eyes for longer than just 30 minutes like with a UAV or anything like that. This will run for, actually real world, we've gotten as long as 24 hours on a single charge. We claim between 8 and 10 hours, but that all depends on lots of environmental conditions. If it's freezing outside, the battery life's less. If it's 75 degrees in a perfect day, it'll be 24 hours and you're running all day.
Chris, how do you, when people keep coming to you, like, have you ever used it for this? I could use it for that. How do you make those decisions on whether or not that's good for where your business is, or if that takes you off into a tangent?
We definitely, if it's going to be highly customized, like we had one out in California, huge operation where they were picking 400-foot long railroad rails and they wanted to use a number of our HoistCam systems because they had no idea where they would even want to put the cameras, and they loved the HoistCam because they could literally put them wherever they wanted. We just made sure we understood the application, but anything that's really dialed in and really specialized like that, we require them to have it pay for us to come on site. Because the last thing you ever want to have with their product is, here's my widget, I'm going to give it to you, and I'm not quite sure how you're going to use it, and then they find out, hey, it doesn't work the way I wanted it to, and they just end up throwing it on the shelf and they never use it again. So the things that we don't have already dialed in, like we're already dialed in on like telescopic booms and tower cranes and things like that. If it is a special project, we require them to either hire one of our techs or have one of us come out on site.
I know we're going to have one final question for you. Any last questions from the group? Okay, so the one thing that we want to know from you is what can the Virginia Beach entrepreneurial, Hampton Roads entrepreneurial community do for Netarus?
One of the things we would greatly appreciate, we have actually started pursuing outside investment, and we are actually presenting to 757 Angels, and any support in that area of getting the word out. I know I've talked with a number of high net worth people in the area. And if you know of anyone that is interested in this kind of technology, we're a successful business. We've grown 100% year over year.
How many years in business?
Doing HoistCam 3.5 years now.
Okay. And looking at particular types of investments, and I'm actually still just kind of learning the terminology here. Maybe Zach, you can help me out here. So you're looking for qualified, SEC qualified investors, so seed funding, angel funding.
That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.